He was just an ordinary businessman who ran a construction firm during the day and was Pogo the Clown at children's parties. The neighbors didn't know there was someone evil living in Norwood Park Township. It was just a suburb in Chicago close to O'Hare Airport. The neighborhood knew him as a likable and friendly man and would have never guessed the double life he lived. Gacy's construction business was his way of luring his victims. His victims would be men and teenage boys hoping to get a job. He would be abducted. Others were sexual meetups, while some without his victims' knowledge. It would turn into a nightmare. One of the most infamous serial killers in U.S. history is John Gacy. He was able to kill 33 people between 1972 and 1978. He would usually trick his victims into becoming physically vulnerable in two ways. He would use his clown tricks that he used in parties to trick his victims. First, he would handcuff himself and escape the cuffs. Then he would have his victims have a go. Little did they know that that was the last moment they would be free. After the victims were handcuffed, he would reveal to them that he had the keys. Later on, he would strangle them by doing another trick with a rope around their neck. By 1975, the authorities were already keeping an eye on John Gacy, after multiple teens had reported that he would cruise around uptown. The police had seen young men entering and leaving his home. However, the men they questioned had nothing bad to say about him. A guy by the name of Jeff Rignall claimed in March 1977 that Gacy offered him marijuana, and that once Rignall was in the car, Gacy chloroformed and abducted him. Waking up in Gacy's home, handcuffed, Gacy sexually assaulted him before he was let go. After Rignall told the police about Gacy, he thought they would look into Gacy. However, there was a hesitancy to investigate Gacy. Because of the police, Rignall began to believe that he was the crazy one, that he was quote, unquote, a model citizen. Later on, Gacy was charged with battery and had to pay $3,000 in a civil suit. In December of 1977, a 19-year-old accused him of kidnap and sexual assault, and soon the police arrested him. However, Gacy was never prosecuted by the assistant state attorney, and claimed that the young man consented. The evening of December 11, 1978, upon arriving at the Nissan pharmacy, Elizabeth Peist went to pick up her son around 9 p.m. after his shift. But he instructed her to wait a few minutes while he conversed with a man about finding a career in construction that would earn him twice as much as he did at the pharmacy. Mrs. Peist waited and waited but never heard from her son. She went to the police and filed a missing persons report just before 11:30 p.m. The following day, Joe Kaczynczak, the lieutenant of Des Plaines Police, looked into the matter. Kaczynczak found out that Gacy's construction business had just finished remodeling Nissan Pharmacy. With that information, Lieutenant Kaczynczak asked Gacy to come to the station for questioning. Kaczynczak spoke to Gacy around 11 p.m., and he said he would be at the precinct in 30 minutes. However, Kaczynczak waited until in the morning and assumed Gacy would not show up. At 3:20 a.m. of December 13th, Gacy showed up looking messed up. He has mud all over on his clothes and shoes. He was made to return when Kaczynczak would be in. Later in the day of December 13th, Kaczynczak questioned Gacy and later produced a search warrant for Gacy's home. While Gacy was being held in jail, the police searched his home. While seizing his home, they found several items, but none were related to Peist. The authorities did find one receipt that the Peist family claimed came from him, and soon the cops believed Robert was at Gacy's home. On the same night of December 13th, Gacy was released. But two Des Plaines police officers, Michael Albrecht and David Hamschmeister, were assigned to watch him from the shadows. Gacy knew about Michael and David shadowing him, and Albrecht claimed that Gacy would even joke about them as his bodyguards, and also enjoyed having the officers on his tail. Sometimes Gacy would offer Albrecht and Hatchmeister coffee and even tell them where he was going. Albrecht once said in an interview that Gacy told him, "Clowns can get away with murder." There were two breakthroughs in the case on December 15th. Investigators identified a class ring that belonged to a student from Maine West High School named John Zeich. They found the ring in Gacy's house. John Syke had gone missing 2 years earlier. One of Gacy's employees back then stated that 2 of their co-workers had gone missing as well. By December 20th, Albrecht and Hatchmeister started to tail Gacy when he paid a visit to his lawyer, Sam Amarant. Sam Amarant stated that Gacy had confessed to him, saying, "I've been the judge, jury, and executioner of many, many people." Authorities detained Gacy the following day for providing marijuana to a gas station employee because they had reason to believe that Gacy was at this stage suicidal risk based on information from numerous sources. The arrest was ordered because they wanted to prevent Gacy from killing himself, while they awaited to obtain another arrest warrant. On that day, authorities had found out what Gacy admitted to Amarant. Finally, a search warrant was used to be able to search Gacy's home. Police pressured Gacy to provide the location of Robert Pice's body and said they were ready to dig up his floors to find it. Gacy kept telling the authorities that Pice was not in his home. Finally, he confessed that once he had to kill a man in self-defense and he had a body under his garage. Gacy even led them to the spot, where he wanted them to look. While looking through Gacy's property, the investigators found a trap door in his floor that led underground. The investigators were able to find evidence of 3 different bodies. The investigation at Gacy's property continued on for several days, and soon the amount of bodies they started to find piled up. 29 bodies were found underground. Gacy confessed to the authorities about 32 murders and also explained how he murdered Robert Pice. Gacy asserted that most of his horrible atrocities were committed by an alter ego that went by the name of Jack Hanley. Bodies after bodies were recovered and identified, yet authorities still were not able to find Pice. By early January, Gacy already confessed to killing him. By January 4th, they had discovered Pice's jacket at Gacy's property, after he told them where to find it. Finally, Pice was recognized in April 1979. Similar to one of the bodies found in the river. 4 more victims were discovered in Des Plaines River. Because there was no more room underneath his house, he had to dump them from the I-55 bridge. By January 8, 1979, Gacy was officially indicted for 7 murders and other felonies. On January 10th, he pleaded not guilty. Later, on April 23, 1979, he was charged with an additional 26 killings, bringing the total to 33. His house was brought down on April 10, 1979. He was on death row for 14 years at the Menard Correctional Center in Illinois. By May 10, 1994, his death sentence was executed. By 12:58 in the morning, Gacy was dead, after he stated for the last time that he was innocent. Remember, not all who are friendly are good people. Some are just pure evil and cunning. What do you think about the John Wayne Gacy case? Comment down below your thoughts. Don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe as well for more videos. Thank you for watching.